Hello, thanks for coming. This is Natalie Kamitsky, and I'm here to talk to you about how to evaluate emerging technologies for education and training. Now, I think we can agree that our country and the world, in fact, was ill prepared for the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact that it would have on our education system. We can all agree that Zoom is not equivalent to in-person instruction. And this experience has shown us that the pandemic has negatively affected academic growth and widened pre-existing disparities. In fact, some might say that the COVID-19 caused our students to have a gap year or more than 1 year in their academic progress. So, how can we respond to this? Well, one way that this has definitely impacted us is to take a closer look at any kind of educational technology. We will now need to prove significant academic outcome based benefits of any new technology we want to introduce. Okay, so how exactly do we do that? Well, we have two models that can be very helpful in this regard. Rogers' diffusion of innovation and Gartner's hype cycle. Diffusion of innovation. So, what is the purpose of this model? It explains how new ideas, products, or technologies are adopted by a society. Okay? Rogers gave us different categories of users or adopters. They are innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. In addition, he gave us factors of the adoption rate. What is impacting how quickly something would be adopted? And they are relative advantage, compatibility, complexity, trialability, and observability. Now let's take a look at how we could apply the model um, diffusion of innovation in our instructional design field. One great example would be for LMS, learning management systems. What's the purpose of a learning management system? Well, to manage and deliver online educational content and resources to learners. Now, as a reminder, our users are innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Okay, and our strategy in this regard, early on, learning management systems were marketed to emphasize the potential benefits of organizing your information, having everything all in one place. Later on, demonstrations might have been necessary to convince someone. But as we know, LMSs are very much part of our regular life now. So let's talk about a specific success story that fits into the framework of the diffusion of innovation model. Khan Academy is a very well-known website that offers free video lessons that initially were about math. Today, they have expanded it beyond that. Now, the purpose of the website is online. It's an online learning platform of instructional videos, practice exercises for learners of all ages. Okay, again, you have innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. So, what was so successful about the strategy that they used and that we can benefit from as instructional designers? Early on, they offered a free and easily accessible platform that consists of high quality educational resources. And later, once the platform was well established and had an excellent reputation, there's still an emphasis on convenience and effectiveness. Now, what's an example of how the diffusion of innovation model fits into a failed technology that was introduced? One example we have is that of smart boards. What's a smart board? A smart board is an interactive whiteboard that enables teachers to display and manipulate digital content in the classroom. Okay, so as usual, we have innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. So, what can we learn from the strategy that was applied in this case that led to its demise? Innovators and early adopters were ignored and not addressed. Those are usually the people that spread the word and help something get picked up. Early and late majority were only interested in convenience and interactivity. And the lack of training and support for the people who did try to use it was lacking. So unfortunately, uh, it was people stopped using it and went on to other things. Okay, the next step is the hype cycle. What's the purpose of the hype cycle? To explain how new technologies are introduced to the market, more from a marketing perspective, right? So the stages of the hype cycle are the technology trigger, peak of inflated expectations, trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment, and plateau of productivity. Okay. Now we're going to look again at this time at an example of something that's already in our marketplace that aligns with the hype cycle. And that would be virtual reality and augmented reality. Now, what's the purpose of these technologies? It is to engage learners through immersive learning experiences such as practicing realistic virtual simulations. Very valuable tool. The adoption phases, again, are technology trigger, peak of inflated expectations, trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment, and plateau of productivity. Now, how has this been introduced? Right now, we are in the midst of peak of inflated expectations. And there's significant hype about the potential that this could have to transform education and instructional design. But we're heading quickly towards the trough of disillusionment. And so, our best recommendation in this kind of circumstance is to manage expectations. Let's look at some more examples. Here's a success story that has passed through the entire hype cycle. It's MOOCs, or Massive Open Online Courses. They provide high quality education to learners worldwide. Again, we have technology trigger, peak of inflated expectations, trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment, and plateau of productivity. So, what is the ID strategy that helped MOOCs become a successful technology in instructional design? Early on, there was significant hype and excitement. During the period of disillusionment, the hype subsided and challenges emerged. But today, MOOCs are much more widely adopted. So it's gone through the entire cycle to the plateau of productivity. Let's look at another project or another technology rather, that wasn't as successful. Second Life. What is Second Life? It is a virtual world platform that enabled users to create and interact with virtual environments and avatars. Technology trigger, peak of inflated expectations, trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment, and plateau of productivity. Once again, for our adoption phases. Now, what can we learn from what happened with this technology? Early on, it was considered a breakthrough in online learning and instructional design, and it was marketed as a solution for all types of educational content, not anything specific in instructional needs. Okay, it had a lack of direction and focus, and so we need to know how to manage expectations. Now, let's look at some differences with how this Second Life compares to what we talked about with augmented and virtual reality. I would say that the way that they're marketing virtual reality and augmented reality today has very specific applications, such as surgeries and flying simulations, and other types of situations where this would be extremely beneficial. So they've done more research as to how it would be applicable in the real world situations, which Second Life did not. So now that we've talked about specific instances for diffusion of innovations and hype cycle, let's take a look at the details and how they differ. Okay. Diffusion of innovations, remember, builds on spreading awareness through social interactions. Okay, facilitating adoption through understanding the needs and preferences of the users and tailoring the innovations to meet their needs. It promotes, excuse me, it's concerned with promoting long-term adoption and use. Under the hype cycle model, we're more concerned with technical features and functionality, promotion, market potential, positioning for wide appeal, and leveraging that initial hype to drive sales. Now, for our conclusion, we'll look at what both models bring to us when they're in combination. Okay, both of them provide a valuable framework for understanding adoption and diffusion of new technologies in instructional design. They help predict the value of emerging technologies so that we can design engaging and effective learning experiences. They help organizations achieve an elevated status by beating out competitors with cutting edge instructional designs. And they impact our return on investment by meeting the needs of learners and organizations in a way that is cost effective and, um, again, very attractive to the learners. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Good night.